So let's kick things off just with a little acknowledgement. People love to dunk on PHP. Like, they love it. And I gotta say, the memes are top tier. Like, they like it a lot. Like, people love to hate PHP. Like, maybe too much. And yet, PHP continues to survive. It continues to thrive, and while all of these frameworks have kind of come and gone, PHP sticks around. And in today's talk, I kind of want to explain why that is a little bit, and why PHP might actually be the language that you should choose for modern web development. So like Robert said, I'm Andrew. I'm a developer educator at Twilio. And in today's talk, we're going to cover a couple of things. First things first, why PHP refuses to retire. We're going to talk about some of the challenges of the world of modern PHP. We're going to talk about a solution that might exist in sort of a Goldilocks zone around those problems. And then we are all going to make a collective prayer to the demo gods, because I am going to do live coding, which is either going to be amazing, yeah, or terrible, but we're going for amazing. Okay, so a little bit about me. I'm a self-taught developer, former classroom educator, currently working at Twilio, but more importantly than any of this for this talk is I love PHP. I started developing back in WYSIWYG editors, so Zara Web Designer, if anybody ever used that. It was a terrible piece of software. I graduated to WordPress, and yes, I know you may be saying graduating to WordPress seems like a stretch, but from there, sort of learned about the PHP ecosystem, discovered Flarum, which is a Laravel-based forum platform, and from there sort of really fell in love with PHP. And while I dabble in other languages, I really always come back to loving this language. And so it kind of puts me in a unique position to talk about why PHP keeps kicking. And I think that like there's always this number that people put out there that like 73% of the internet runs on PHP. And sure, yes, lots of things are running on it. That's not the reason it survives. I kind of have like 5 big reasons why PHP is sticking around. First things first, it runs on anything. You do not need an EC2 instance to run a PHP app. All you need is a shared hosting server and the ability to copy and paste a single file. And that's both good and terrible at the same time. It is incredibly backwards compatible. So if you wrote PHP 20 years ago and you're wondering, will this run on a current PHP server? The answer is probably yes. Should it run on that current PHP server is a totally different question. So it also keeps staying in the zeitgeist. PHP will not go away. Anybody following, or did they follow a little bit of the WordPress drama that happened this year? Yeah. Anybody followed like 2 weeks later, the big announcement from Laravel, a huge framework in this world that they'd raised like $1 bajillion to expand? Like, we keep sticking around because we're super popular. And honestly, we're popular because we're unpopular. I think it's like politics and PHP are two things that any software developer or anybody can argue about. And I think, let's be real, until WordPress disappears, PHP is going to be sticking around for the long run. So all of these are great reasons, but these are not the reasons I think, or the main reason why PHP has survived so well. I think it's because PHP was built around simplicity. And like, it's not just me saying that, it's a lot of people. And while I will say Rasmus Lerdorf is also really famous, a creator of PHP is really famous for saying, I never set out to create a programming language, and there's a lot of red flags in there. He also said that he built this as a tool to solve, a simple tool to solve problems. And Ziv Sarasky, who's the co-founder of Zend, another kind of major player in the PHP space, said like that PHP was there to lower the barrier to entry for people, and you didn't need to be a software engineer to use it, which I think is really, really powerful. Now, the other reason that PHP survives, even though everybody says it's dead, is because kind of they're not wrong. The PHP that we all love to hate is kind of gone. Most people will say like, I wrote PHP. I was talking to somebody earlier today and they were like, I started writing in PHP. And it was like, how many years ago was that? And you don't want to answer that question. PHP has changed. The PHP of yesteryear is not the same one that we have today. We have changed. We have got solutions to a lot of those problems. I realized I should have warned you all about all the memes. Like we went deep into it now though. So all of these things that were kind of things that you might have heard as challenges, things like weak typing, things like no native annotations, these are all gone. We now have a programming language that is modern. It is ready to be used for modern purposes, and that includes modern web development. But as we all know, if you are developing in any language, most of us are not spinning up something from scratch in any programming language. We are using something called a framework. I think this is like the last-ish meme. PHP has definitely fallen into the framework world. And you might be saying to yourselves, well, obviously I've heard of WordPress, which, yeah, it's maybe not a framework, but like people build on top of it, so I would count it in there. And I've heard of Laravel, and those are like the two PHP frameworks. It's kind of like Ruby with Ruby on Rails. There's not really anything else that exists there. But the class of PHP frameworks in 2025 is bumping. So definitely Laravel and WordPress are in there, but there is a lot of other frameworks that are out there. And sort of we have two camps that exist in the PHP world, and I think a lot of framework worlds right now. We have the macro full stack framework world, and then we have the micro framework world. And so if you look sort of the two teachers that are there are kind of the macro frameworks, and everybody else in there is a micro framework. And that's great, but there's some challenges that exist in there, and I kind of just want to call them out. So first things first, this is Laravel. Laravel is freaking killing it. Like, look at that commit graph over time. Like, that has never gone down really in a major way. It is consistent. Laravel is killing it right now. They've got Laravel Cloud, which recently launched, which is like the PHP equivalent of Vercel. We've got things like Livewire, the ways to engage with JavaScript without ever having to touch JavaScript. Like, Laravel has taken this space of being a full stack framework to the extreme and is doing incredibly well. On the other side, our micro frameworks are not doing so well. As you may notice from these graphs, they are not trending in the right direction. We like a hockey stick graph, but not that kind of hockey stick graph. There is less commits that are being made to them over time and smaller commits as well. And I think there's a big reason for that. And to consider why, think about the way that modern development works. Anybody here a web developer or build web apps? Who would say that it's gotten more complex over the years? Yeah, 100%. It is so complex. To spin things up takes so long. We want simplicity. We want ease of use. We want batteries. So if you've heard this term, batteries included, full stack frameworks like Laravel are the equivalent of a batteries included framework. So these are solutions that have everything you need out of the box. So you are getting a way to spin up a production ready app for like your very mature idea really easily, and you get all of the bells and whistles, even if you don't want those bells and whistles. The upside there is you are ready for your application when you have 2 million users. The downside is you have all of the features for when you have 1 user, and you can't remove them. On the other side, we have the micro framework world, and micro frameworks have kind of adopted this idea of bring your own batteries. And so when you look at this, they're lightweight starting points, great to get started, but they're often really limited, and you're having to kind of glue together things in order for them to work incredibly well. Great for early stage experiments, but they fall apart when you need to scale them. So who here's not a web developer and deals with maybe hardware type stuff or cybersecurity? Other people? There we go. So I got stuff for you too. I've got analogies. I was here for your metaphors, one of those two. So consider the computer. So let's look at a micro framework like Slim. So that's this little elephant guy here. You'll see a little bit more now. So Slim is kind of like a custom build PC kit. So you get the thing that you know it's going to work together because all the pieces are there, and then you're going to expand it, but a lot of the things are you got to go into the specs and figure out what works with what. It's great, but it takes you time to get there. On the other side, we've got Laravel, which is kind of like the Apple computers of the PHP ecosystem. It is awesome, it runs, but good luck trying to upgrade it. Like, you are set with what you get. And so in the PC world, or in the computer world, I think we've had a lot of conversations around, can we find something that exists there in the middle? And I know some of you actually have this that are here right now, because I've seen a few of these. Anybody know what this is? Yeah, the Framework laptop. So if you haven't heard of these, Framework is a laptop company that is focused around modularity in their devices. So these are all first-party modules that you can swap out. You can literally swap out a USB port for an HDMI port in the same area. And like when you pull out your motherboard, you put it into a separate case and it becomes like a Raspberry Pi, but on superpowers. So Framework laptops are killing it right now. They created that middle space for computers. But if you've been in the space for a while, you'll probably say, Andrew, this has been done before. Anybody remember Project Ara? This was from back in 2015. Great Google project, was going to change the mobile phone network. They may have overestimated, and in 2015 they scrapped the project, even though it was really, really cool. But as we know from modern development in any way right now, we are not in 2015 anymore, and so things are shifting. Last year, Framework raised $18 million to move outside of just the laptop space, and they're already moving into desktops. And Fairphone is actually now moving into the modular space as well. And so like we have this focus on modularity in the hardware world. Could the same thing exist in the software world for web development in PHP? And so that question was posed, and it was answered by an amazing developer out of Ghana named Michael Darko-Duodo, who was inspired by Slim and Laravel, and wanted to create a modular design for a web framework, something that had and I interviewed him before this. I wanted to have a conversation with him, and he said, I wanted the power of Laravel with the dynamism of Slim, and I love the word dynamism. I need to use it more in my day-to-day now. But he was using Laravel since 2013, and things just kept breaking, and so wanted something more. And I've lived in this world too in Laravel. Like, you have a great application, something you want to upgrade, but because another package that's built on top of Laravel hasn't been upgraded, then you're stuck in this weird dependency hell, and he wanted to fix that. So what does this look like in practice? Well, this is an app that we're actually going to hopefully get spun up in about 5-7 minutes. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I'll let you figure that out. But here's an example of these three frameworks running the same app. Slim is up at the top. We've got Laravel at the bottom. And in the middle here, in sort of this Goldilocks zone, is Leaf PHP, which is the framework that Michael developed. So the composer.lock file is sort of the dependencies, and then the app folder is just the app folder. You can see it's really living in that Goldilocks zone. So let's talk a little bit more about Leaf itself. And so this is the part where I make you fall for Leaf. All right, hold on. Mandatory pause for pun appreciation. There we go. Yeah, there we go. I got some growth. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Listen, I got a dad joke hotline too, so stay tuned. Let's talk about some things. So right now, Leaf is incredibly popular in this space. So on the left, you'll see star history, which is going kind of up and to the right, which is what we want in a framework, as well the downloads from packages, which is sort of like the NPM for the PHP world. But popularity is one thing, performance is another. But don't worry, Leaf has got that covered too. So this is a benchmark from Tech Empower that focused. This one is plain text responses. This one is JSON serialization performance. And you'll see here that Leaf is far outperforming Laravel and Slim in its performance here. And those are like really good stats for a framework, considering it's actually beating out a lot of these. And most of the ones that are above it are like brand new PHP frameworks that I think we're going to be hearing more about very soon. But honestly, more importantly, is this idea of it honoring both modularity and extensibility, but giving more priority to modularity. So extensibility that exists in Laravel is great until you start building layers and layers of packages into there that you're stuck with something. Imagine being able to pull out those packages that you don't need without breaking your entire application. Leaf makes that possible. What modules do they have, you may be saying? Well, these are just a small sampling of the first-party modules that have been developed by the creator of Leaf PHP and are maintained that you can just add and subtract from your application at will. Everything from billing to Redis to inertia, which is sort of a glue in the PHP world between front-end frameworks and back-end frameworks. All of these are first-party modules that you can plug and play into your application. And I think these kind of fall in like one of 4 categories, or at least these plus some other pieces kind of fall in there. So in sort of the speed area, I'm focused on speed of spinning something up and deploying it. So there are starters for APIs and MVC apps. Anybody here a big MVC fan for web app design? Think Ruby on Rails model view controller. So it's just sort of like a really opinionated way to build out an app. But also APIs. We've got scaffolding for things like authentication and landing pages and waitlists. Like it's a single line of code or a single command in the CLI to basically create an authentication page and set up all those things. And then easy deployment. And today, if the demo gods are with me, we're going to deploy a live application to fly without having to go into the code very much at all. We'll change like one thing in the code. Flexibility as well. These modules allow you to have multiple database types. You're able to do different templating languages, including one that was custom designed, but also Blade, which lets you move over really directly from the Laravel framework. And then you've got Inertia, Vite, Alpine and Tailwind, all of these modern things that you would expect in there. Now you may be saying scalability, we haven't talked about that yet. Well, we've got things like it's secure by design, dealing with things like SQL injection and cross-site scripting. We've got queuing systems with that Redis module. We're able to sort of have caching in there as well. And then we've also got the ability to upgrade from local file systems to S3. So all of these are available as individual modules in there. But I think sort of the key piece in this world is actually the tooling. So Michael is really focused on developer first. He built a really powerful CLI and a console specifically designed around the MVC apps. He has a great testing suite that's built in, and he's even developing browser dev tools so you can sort of stay in the environments where you need the testing in order to kind of go through this process. The other thing that he's done really well is he's building things around this ecosystem. So anybody that's been in the Laravel space will know about Laravel 0, which used to be a CLI framework for PHP. It's kind of depreciated now a little bit because Laravel's going all in on the full stack. And so Leaf Sprout is sort of the answer in Leaf to that idea. And then we also have HANA.js, because who doesn't need another React framework? But this one built under the same idea as Leaf, so modular and really slim and easy to use. So, and he's built a number of apps around sort of using these things together, including these two right here. So on the left is a platform that Michael just launched recently called Sell. It's like a Shopify alternative, so but built in Leaf PHP at like a scaled level. And then Get Surveyor is an app not built by Michael, but built by another developer, I think out of Nigeria or Ghana as well. And it's like a SurveyMonkey alternative. Yeah. So I've talked to you a lot about this. I'm sitting at 18 minutes into my talk, which means now is the time that I am going to stop my screen share this way, go and let you see what I'm doing on my screen. Also, switch my glasses into Leaf PHP programming mode. There we go. I come with costume changes, y'all. And we're going to jump into the code. All right, so can you all please bow your heads and make a little prayer to the demo gods for me? Really appreciate that. Nobody's actually doing it. I'm dead serious. Thank you, everybody. All right. And, all right, there we go. So, we're going to jump over into VS Code. So, here we are in VS Code. I have got a repo that you will all have access to afterwards, which is for PHP Hotline. More on that soon. But we're going to spin up a new Leaf project. I'm going to bump this up just a tiny bit. And I'm going to go Leaf create. I'm going to call this Carolina. And I'm going to have it as an MVC app. So we're going to spin up this new Leaf app. I've got the CLI installed already, so that's obviously putting me in a good place. But literally just with the CLI installed, this is how fast it's spinning up a functional MVC app. Now, it's already done. The MVC app is already there in this Carolina folder right here. And we've got our models, view controllers. Everything we need to run is there. But Michael realized that people generally want to go a little bit further. And so in here, we've got application starters. So this is if you wanted to add authentication right off the bat. But I don't want to. I don't want to have that. So I'm going to say no. You can choose from React, Vue, Svelte, or Blade and Tailwind, which is kind of like the Laravel base. And so I'm going to choose that. And then I could set up tests. Who does tests? No. And then do I want Docker? No, because I'm going to show you something even cooler than Docker. And here we go. Our Leaf app is up and ready to go. All I got to do is cd into Carolina. And let's go Leaf serve. And we're going to visit this. And if everything's gone well, then phase 1 of my live demo has been successful. Thank you. That was like half-hearted, y'all. There we go. You're like, okay, Andrew, you deployed a simple web app. Way to go. You do this professionally, man. Okay, so let's jump back over here. Amazing. So we have deployed this app, but again, speed of getting it up is one thing. Speed of getting it out into the world is another. So I'm actually going to go into the same folder again, and I'm going to run a command leaf deploy. Leaf deploy is going to spin up everything that's needed for this application to run on fly.io. Anybody from Fly actually here? Nope. Anybody used Fly before? Awesome. If you haven't, hopefully this will get you doing it. And so what that does is create this Fly area, and then in my folder, it's really the big thing it's doing is creating this Fly toml file, which is just giving it all the information that it needs to run up, and then some Docker files in here as well. The thing I'm going to need to change really quickly, though, is just the name of my deployment. So I'm going to call my app Leaf Carolina. Actually, let's call it that. And we're going to change our region to not Midwest, to MIR. I want to say it's MIR. I think that's, yes. Let's see if that runs. We're going to see here. And now we are going to run leaf deploy. And if everything's gone well, this will run. MIA, it's not going to run. It's going to say failed because I got one letter wrong, the region. I wanted it to run in Florida because the default sets it to run in England. We're going to run leaf deploy. And right now, it is going live and deploying out there to the world. So while this is deploying, I want to show you something that is very similar. There's like a couple small line changes that have happened in here for the app that I kind of gave you a demo for before. Did anybody catch what that was doing, that sort of demo code that was up there when I was showing you it? What was it showing?
It picks a number, true or false.
Yep.
And it's love PHP, hate PHP, and then it asks OpenAI to make up a reason.
I love it. Yeah, so I work for a company called Twilio. Anybody heard of Twilio before? We're a telecommunications data AI company. And so we kind of are very well known for kind of like programmable voice. And so we're demonstrating that today with OpenAI as well. So yeah, this is literally some features of this framework. We've got our view that is still up there in our default app, which we'll take a look at in a second. And then we've got our match function, which is actually going to take in either a GET or a POST request, and then feed it through to one of these two places. All of these functions and methods are built into Leaf, so it just makes the process easier. If it's a GET request, it's just going to show me sort of a little funny thing that's going to explain how this works and give a phone number. And then if it's a POST request, it's going to choose whether to love or PHP. It's going to generate a response, and then you are going to be able to get a voice response at a number that you call. So we're going to go and see if our application finished deploying Leaf Carolina. So we're going to click here, and again, pray for me. Okay, there we go. So this application is up and live on fly.io right now, which is amazing. But we actually want to see something that's not just this simple landing page. We want to see what Andrew has built. So we're going to go over to our application here. Don't call this number yet because I don't want the demo to fully break before I finish the presentation. But this is a live number for here in Greenville that you can call, and it's a PHP hot takes hotline, which will basically give you a response on like another reason to love or hate PHP. I will say the internet like loves and hates PHP, and therefore the responses here are like the loves are not truly loves, and the hates are definitely hates. And so we'll try this in just a second, but just kind of showing you how this works. So in the Twilio platform, we've got a phone number set up. I have it sending, when it calls, it's going to do a post request over to this leafphp.fly.dev/php, and it's going to go through that process. And thankfully, we have this awesome thing called the dev phone, which is like a way to test out these numbers, which I got spun up. And now this is the real one to like pray for me, because this is also the fun one that I think, if it works, will prove that PHP hates, or sorry, that OpenAI hates PHP. All right, so here we go. I'm going to try and stand close so that y'all can hear it and turn up my volume. Let's see if this works.
Here is another reason to hate PHP, because in PHP, the semicolon is optional. Just kidding. The real joke is that PHP will silently convert your carefully validated credit card number into a float and rename your array keys at 3 a.m., then blame you for not being flexible enough.
you're actually going to get a chance to try this out in just a minute. I'll throw the number back up there because this is actually a functional number. I will say, this is on my personal account, so please, before you call this number, remember that these are my OpenAI credits. These are my Twilio credits. Pray for me. I did load it up, but it might eventually get to a place where it breaks. But before we get to that, I just want to jump back quickly into our presentation to finish things off. So we got an app working. This was the sample. This was our PHP Hot Takes hotline. I'll pull this slide back up in just a second. This is me. This is where you can find me on all of the socials. I would love, people never take me up on this, but I love meeting people afterwards that I met at a conference. So if you want to book a coffee chat, I am always available to like jump on camera and do that. And then if you want to get a copy of the slides, you can go to this dub.sh link that's right here, /php-ccc. And then if you want to check out the hotline repository to jump into this code, you can check it out there. I'm really curious because Vonage is here too and could technically do the same thing. I'd love if like Vonage created their own kind of like hotline as well. We have like a hotline wars. Amazing. So if you want to give a call to the number, because I think we've got like 2 minutes left, you can give a call here. Again, I have not tested this for scale. Things may break. You may hear other people's conversations. I take no responsibility for what OpenAI is going to do. Except just have you have an amazing time. All right, that's it for me. Thanks, everybody. And yeah, thank you.